totally want to get into China. And I went to China. Did you see I went to China? It was really great.
Oh, I saw you went to China. Did you see that Xi did not greet him at the airport, which you know that had to piss him off to no end. Because he knows, I mean, yeah. The meeting, I don't think had any real effect one way or another. I wouldn't have expected it to. I think, Trump went over there basically with an entourage of oligarchs trying to make some sort of deal for them because of the shitstorm that he's swept up over there in West Asia, and basically is going to China and asking for some sort of help in this situation, right? Like they're coming in with definitely not with the upper hand, and exhibited by the fact that Xi did not even greet him at the airport. So he shows up there, and my understanding is that it was back and forth, blah, 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 blah. And Xi made one very, very important point to Trump. Do you know what that was, Peter? You don't know what the one major point of this whole thing to him was?
Tell me.
Well, for people who don't know, the whole gist of it was hands off Taiwan. No conflict in Taiwan. Stay away from Taiwan, right? Now, I'm sure he said it much more diplomatically and eloquently, but that was the gist of it. It was all blah, 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 Zuckerfuck and Ackman and all these, or not Ackman, what's his name? Tim Cook and all these oligarchs. But at the end of the day, what China cares about is Taiwan. And I think that it is very interesting that there are a couple of different perspectives to look at post that meeting. Like, what is that going to look like? Do you think that Trump is going to in any way, I don't know, heed that we just went there basically asking for help, and their one message to us is stay the fuck away from Taiwan? Is he going to heed that? That's the question. What do you think?
I think that we are in a very precarious situation right now. And I want to preface this with something very important. As you guys probably know, one of our favorite, if not our favorite, progressive activist is Medea Benjamin. And she had this to say about China. And about,
wait, is this relevant to the Taiwan thing, or is that something totally else? Because right, okay.
Well, what I was going to say is I want people to understand that when China says stay out of our business, there is a reason why we try to treat Taiwan as this Trojan horse that, oh my God, China's the worst country in the world. China is the real enemy. China are the evil people, not Israel. No way. No, it's definitely China. And so while everyone is touting, or the Zionist infiltrators who have bought off our federal representatives go up to people like Medea Benjamin and Pink and say that they're all China operatives, and yet I think it's important that people understand where China's coming from, where they say, oh no, stay out of our business. We are being a world leader the way that other countries want us to be world leaders. Unlike you guys, where the overwhelming majority of the globe speaks English, the US dollar is still the world's reserve currency, and you still have the strongest military, which just believes in running roughshod over the world. We, on the other hand, don't see it that way. This is very important what Medea says right here before we jump into the story even further on Taiwan.
That China invests more money on clean energy than the rest of the world combined? That's right, more than 194 countries combined. And while China has been furiously building solar panels and batteries, electric vehicles, wind turbines, clean energy infrastructure, what has the United States been doing? Pouring trillions into weapons and subsidizing fossil fuel companies. For years, U.S. climate activists have been demanding a serious transition to renewables. But Donald Trump calls climate change a hoax and has been doubling down on oil, gas, and militarism. In contrast, China has made a strategic decision years ago to dominate the clean energy economy, and now around the world, people are driving affordable Chinese electric vehicles using Chinese-made solar technology.
Except here,
Products
pause
Americans
that.
can barely access.
Except here. We're like the only country that doesn't have access to those awesome electric Chinese cars that are infinitely better and outperform all the other brands.
Well, that's why I totally had to put tariffs on them, because they're really dangerous.
They were already there. We have had more than, like, I want to say it's been 100% tariff on those cars long before Trump was back in office. This has been going on since they started having such good product with their electric car. So, that's absurd. Sorry.
Agreed.
Because of U.S. trade restrictions. China is even helping Cuba confront the devastating U.S. oil blockade by financing 75 solar parks around the island. And now, as the U.S.'s really war on Iran drives up global energy prices, countries everywhere are rushing towards renewables, a shift that overwhelmingly benefits China. Whether Donald Trump likes it or not, China has become the driving force behind the global renewable energy revolution. And if Trump was really a good businessman, he would recognize that the future does not belong to countries that excel at blowing things up, but countries that excel at addressing the real needs of people and the planet.
And, I don't ever want to come off like I'm singing praises of China. I'm not. And if I'm being perfectly honest, I don't know enough about their domestic policies to know what I think. I really don't. I know that we hear things about their state media, but then I look at our state media. So, it's hard to know what's real and what's not. From things I've seen of people on the ground, I have a good perception of a lot of parts of China, but I'm sure it's, they've got their shit. They've got their billionaires, their oligarchs. They have their whole own shit. So we're not singing praises of China. But when it comes to Taiwan, the thing is this: whether or not Taiwan is part of China is none of our fucking business, because here's the thing: it sure as shit isn't ours. So again, I'm not arguing one way or another whether Taiwan should be independent or what. That is not my corn muffin, but it's not our business. So, Colin, I see not the Politico one, the other one first, I think makes more sense. Let me see the other one first. There was two. Because the first, yes. So, guys, this is coming. This is the BBC article, and it's going to look at the position of the Taiwan. Do we say Taiwanese? Do we say Taiwanese? Taiwanese president. And this is this is Taiwan's current perception based on, and here's the facts. There's some sort of big arms deal, right? Like, we're looking to this, Trump and his friends are looking to sell like billions of dollars of arms or whatever it is, right, to Taiwan. Now, keep in mind, these weapons don't exist yet. They don't exist. Just like we're short everywhere. These are just deals. They're not even legitimate weapons yet. But the concept is whether or not they are entitled. Did you get paywalled? Is that what happened, Colin? That sucks.
Don't go spending our money on that. You don't have to do that.
No, don't do it. Don't do it. So
pull up the other article then.
We can look at the other article. But so the point is that whether or not Taiwan feels that it should be independent of China, that's between them and China, and not us. So we obviously want to put through this very profitable arms deal. The head of Taiwan is saying, yes, we're all for that. However, again, back to the meeting, what was Xi's main point?
Do not fuck with Taiwan.
So now, coming out of that meeting, and you'd be wondering, what's Trump's move? What's he going to do? And also, you should read this like with the Trump voice and the Trump comments, but yeah.
But also, keep in mind, guys, why is Taiwan so significant? It's not that it's this it's like the same thing with Ukraine. Everybody's like, oh, if Russia just wants Ukraine because they're ethnically Russian. No, it's the same thing with Taiwan. It always comes down to economics. It always has, it always will. Western Ukraine is completely covered in natural resources to the tune of trillions of dollars. Well, guess what Taiwan is? Taiwan is the key to the South China Sea. And we want to take it over. Because again, we're like I guess we're like a blob in some respects. You know, we're like the thing. It's like we have to find a new host that we can sink our teeth into and suck the blood out of them. And that's ostensibly what's going on here. So,
all right. So this was, I felt somewhat positive. I'm curious to see how everyone else feels after they hear how Trump responded. Again, not that what he says means anything, but yeah. You want to do it? You want me? I'll read it.
U.S. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer on Sunday attempted to clarify President Trump's recent threat to withhold arms sales to Taiwan, downplaying suggestions of a rift in the U.S. support for the island. In an interview with ABC's This Week, Greer said there was no change in American policy on Taiwan, seemingly contradicting comments Trump made last week to hold back on approving $14 billion arms deal to the island, which China considers to be part of its territory. The president is very focused on making sure that nothing happens there. This is why, when he talked to the media afterward, he said, I made no commitments to President. When we talked to the media afterward, he said, I made no commitments to President Xi on Taiwan. And the president will keep his own counsel on the sales and when, if that happens.
You know what's interesting, though? Wait, before you go on, scroll up a second to the paragraph right before here, that last sentence, just so we're having aware of the bias. All right. Media bias, media literacy. This is Politico. And the way that they phrase it, which China considers to be part of its territory. Again, which China considers, not, they wouldn't have need to say anything, right? The sentence could just end contradicting comments to hold back on approving a $14 billion arms deal to the island. See that? It would have been exactly, but no, they had to throw in that it's supposedly China. Okay, continue.
President's very focused on making sure that nothing happens from here. Again, Greer also stated the reality is it's really important for the U.S. and China to have a stable relationship. There are two important these are two important economies. No, they're the two most important. The issue of Taiwan arms sales is something that the Chinese always raise. So yes. The president's considering how to approach that. Trump administration in December approved a record $11 billion package for Taiwan. But Trump last week said he was deliberating how to handle another major arms sale to Taiwan following a summit with Chinese President Xi Jinping in Beijing. In an interview with Fox News' Brett Baer, the president said the decision would depend on China, which would be a significant change in American foreign policy. I haven't approved it yet. We're going to see what happens. I may do it. I may not do it. I'm holding that in abeyance, and it depends on China. It's a very good negotiating chip for us, frankly. It's a lot of weapons
that aren't even in existence yet. Again, okay, so let's remember that.
You continue.
And would be many years before they would be. But Trump's discussion of the sale with Xi could be an apparent violation of the six assurances, a series of commitments made by President Reagan's administration that the U.S. wouldn't consult Beijing on weapon sales to the island. What am I going to do? Say I don't want to talk to you about it because I have an agreement that was signed in 1982. Trump told reporters.
What am I going to do? Say I don't want to talk to you about it because I had an agreement that was signed in 1982? We discussed the whole thing with the arms sales in great detail, actually. Over the next fairly short period, I'll make a decision.
Trump's comments suggest another possible violation, this time of the 1979 Taiwan Relations Act, which commits the U.S. to provide Taiwan with arms of a defensive character and says it shall maintain the capacity of the United States to resist any resort to force or other forms of coercion that would jeopardize the security, social, or economic system of the people of Taiwan. House Speaker Mike Johnson told Fox News Sunday that the U.S. military and every president has been watching this closely and that Congress remains committed to supporting Taiwan's independence. Oh, we know you do. Again, another example of it doesn't matter whether it's red or it's blue. If we all recall, Nancy Pelosi traveling over to Taiwan somehow thought that was a really good idea to go travel over to Taiwan as if it's an independent nation. The nerve, honestly, I would like for Xi and his people to start interacting with Puerto Rico. I think they should start traveling there. I think they should start setting up arms deals with them. I think they should start setting up a whole base camp in Puerto Rico.
Just stay out of Puerto Rico. I think it's a great idea.
I mean, it's just so absurd. We have an interest in that, as again, do all freedom-loving people around the world, Johnson said. China cannot just go over and take the land, and we're going to stand strong and resolute by that. I know the Congress will. You dumb fuck. They don't need to go take the land any more than we need to go take Catalina. Okay? That's not how this works. It's theirs because it's fucking theirs. Okay. Like, it's so ridiculous.
And that, again, it's no surprise, because what we are seeing is, again, another example of a collapse of empire. We are trying to, we have for the longest time been able to successfully do regime change, if you will, in a lot of different places because we were always the bully. We always had the ability to deal with it because we had the superior hand, but we were always picking on the little guy. Now we're trying to mess with a country that is our equal, if not greater than. And as a result, if China decides that it wants to cut us off from the South China Sea, they do have the ability to do that. They have the military ability, they have the economic ability, they have us in numbers, their population, despite the fact that there are probably legitimate rumors to how populated the country of China actually is. They have us at least two, if not threefold. So this is not a war, if you will, that can be won.
No.
And I would also say that we are getting to a very dangerous place, because now we're being put in a position, especially, again, it's all the signs. It's like if Massi wins tomorrow, the state of Israel continues to lose its ground and goes in a direction that does not provide a path forward where they might actually be eradicated. Now you take China, now you bring China to the equation. I've said this before, I'll say it again. The only reason why the United States, and especially Israel, are able to conduct themselves the way they do around the globe is because of the financial implications of not doing business with us. But behind the scenes, led by China, in conjunction with Russia, South Africa, India, and Brazil, and now many other nations that form BRICS, they are figuring out a way to get around us. And once it is official that they don't have to deal with us, that's it.